Well,
Lucretia looks over and says, "Now there are two amongst you who may have the faith and the flame to prevail. Karen, Farrell,
Aaron.
Oh no, it's been revealed.
Carol,
We look over, he has a
Farron.
bob cut.
I know, right? Please." We are back to our group standing in front of Champions Gate, where they have just met Lucretia Mathias. She has welcomed in the pilgrims that you all escorted. They have all made their way back and into the gate to the campsite that is behind it. I will take you over to our map of Champions Gate. You can find yourself in the center. So this is kind of what we're looking at here. We've got you guys all at the bottom. Lucretia Mathias standing right in front of you. There are some guards up at the gate, and then you can see the two devas, the two angels, kind of flying over in space there. You can see that the second tower is completely destroyed, and the tower that stands to your left. Lucretia kind of stands there before you all and sours her face a little bit, looking to
Oh.
Nathaniel, and she says, well, Nathaniel, don't just stand there. Please announce our guests. And Nathaniel clears his throat and says, yes, of course. And he kind of introduces you all one by one. He says to Saul, he says, we have one of the followers of your teachings who has come all the way from Caspia to join us. He was one of our most beloved men around the farm until he didn't return for many months. That's not his accent. We thought him lost, but he was found and returned to us by these ones you see here. He turns to Bulk and says, this is Bulk, a turtle born of magic. He is very much interested in our way of life here and has his own interesting ideas on the delirium. He even has followers of his own in our midst. And to Daniels, he says, this man is called Daniels, a native of the city, and his nature spirit, Barkus. And then turning to Farron and Carol, he says, these two are monks of the sacred flame. You'll remember Brother Carol. He has returned to us. And Lucretia says, yes, Brother Carol, please step forward. And she kind of takes his hand and he bows to her. And she says, I hope you've been well. And they kind of exchange pleasantries. She turns to you, Farron, and kind of sours her face and says to Carol, well, I suppose you have found one of your brothers. And he says, yes, Lucretia, it was a blessing. And I felt he would like to meet you as well. And Lucretia kind of turns to you all and says, I thank you all for protecting the faithful as they continued their journey. It is a dangerous path, but one rich in reward. You have changed lives today. Unfortunately, the pilgrims cannot delay their travel any longer than necessary, lest they succumb to the corruption. What is the reason you've traveled to see me?
Actually, we were supposed to meet you a bit earlier. A couple of weeks have passed. We actually met some pilgrims of you before, but unfortunately, we were a bit tied up at the time. They met us
Yes,
outside
Katja
the.
Braun.
Yes, I believe it was her group, but unfortunately, I think they got attacked by some kind of winged serpent, winged amalgamation of animals of sorts.
Yes, the manticores, as I believe correctly. And she kind of holds out her hand and she says, if I recall, I think it was raining that day as well.
Your memory's better than mine.
It was indeed raining that day.
Okay.
She says, yes, I recall sending some of my followers out to answer a vision I had seen in the flames. A vision of the scepter of Saint Vitruvio found.
Why? And on our way back to town to kind of get ourselves together when the Manacle attacked, and unfortunately, most, if not many, of your pilgrims weren't so lucky.
Yes, and I believe I recall one by one swooped from the ground and dropped to their deaths by the manticore. Now, Farron, if you're just here to remind me of friends lost and to tell me that you still don't have the scepter, then I'm afraid you've taken a very long walk for nothing.
Right. Was not
So
expecting that.
so Lucretia has just dropped like multiple lines that insinuate that she has like intimate knowledge of what happened that day.
Yup. It's like she was there,
And
but not.
indeed, including the fact that you told the followers that you did not have the scepter. So Bulk Daniels, what is uh what's your take on the scene?
Could I ask like how you knew that?
I try to keep an eye on all of my followers as best I can, especially when I send them into danger. I feel it is my responsibility.
But you couldn't offer us any like protection or something?
I seem to recall sending some of my faithful to escort you.
And then my last question is, why is everyone here glowing?
Nathaniel kind of comes up beside you and says, "Now, please, Daniels, it's we had." He kind of starts to like rebuke you, and Lucretia says, "Now, Nathaniel, let the young man ask his question. You wonder why we glow. Well, you could say that the darkest flame shines, or excuse me, the brightest flame shines from the darkest shadows. We have all been beset by such violence, such chaos. It is a blessing that the flame shines on its chosen few."
I'm going to speak up at this point and be, do you speak with the meteor?
I only interpret visions that I see in the flame.
And you had visions of us coming here.
Not of you specifically, but of some, yes. I saw a sign that great heroes with a part to play in the times ahead.
Can you tell us what we're supposed to do?
You tell me, what do you intend to do?
I'm gonna leave that to Brother Farron to take over. And I like pat him on the back and like push him forward.
All right. As I kind of get like lunged forward, I'm just gonna be like, "All right. I'm just gonna level with you. It seems like you can probably know a little bit more than what we tell you anyway. We are just honestly trying to do what's best for Drakkenheim. We can see many different powers vying for control, trying to do what they think is the best. And honestly, we're just trying to find our way amongst them. We want to improve the city, we want to improve the lives of the people, and it looks like with how many followers you have, a lot believe in you. We're just trying to figure out what might be the best course for the city and its people."
A valiant goal. So you see yourselves as heroes, is that right?
I don't know.
Pretty much.
As like Danielus talks from over my shoulder that he pushed me in from.
Yes. She says, "So, tell me, you're here to do your best for the city. You have talked with some of the powers at play here. What is your opinion?"
It's Honestly, hard to make. The Queensmen seem like they're doing the best for maybe the underprivileged and the ones who had been taken advantage of beforehand. The ones who have royal claim seem to just be fighting for themselves and dividing their own strength between their families. The Sacred Flame seems to have their own kind of dual party going on with the Paladins of the Silver Order. And then honestly, I don't know much about you. We've heard a couple of prophets speaking outside of town, but a lot of it almost, if I dare say, seems fanatical. I don't know how much would be rumor and how much would be truth, which is honestly why you might find us here right now.
You would recall there are many historical figures from our faith who have been called mad, criminals, conspirers, cavorters. Perhaps we are just the next in a long line.
Right, and that's why I'm here to see for myself. It doesn't do well to follow blindly. Does better to see for your own eyes.
Indeed. Well, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have found.
I'm gonna speak up at this point. How
Certainly.
do your followers handle the delirium with such grace and certainty?
We have been bolstered by our faith after completing the sacrament, which is our holy rite. We are strong of mind, strong of body, and perfected in our faith.
And this happens on the other side of the gates, I suppose.
You're correct. You've spoken about your teachings, your beliefs. Tell me, what have you found? You've seen visions of the meteor. I can see it.
It's more of a conversation. The meteor has told me many things. A great sound, a driving force.
And you feel drawn to the delirium.
It has potential, grand potential, to equalize and balance not only the city, but possibly a lot of the magical world we see.
Yes, perhaps all of those who are close to you. And she looks towards your shield as well. And she says, well, who am I to tell you what you believe is wrong? You and I have both seen visions, both been drawn to this city, this meteor. But only I have seen the truth that lies at the heart of the meteor. And that is where our differences perhaps lie.
And what is it that you believe?
I believe that nothing could have passed through the sacred flames that protect us and our people on this planet if it were not of the flame. The stones that they call corrupt, the disaster that has befallen Drakkenheim. I see it as the coming of a new age. I see this city, these stones, as something to be protected, something to be defended, so that any and all who feel drawn to the media, drawn to our faith, may be able to practice freely. That is all that I desire. Let kings be kings, but let the sacred flame have its due.
Would you follow along with our mission?
I'm not sure I understand what your mission is. You say you want to do the best. Danielus, tell me, how have you benefited your people that you care for so much?
I have brought money to our poor village, and I seek to redistribute the wealth system and not have such power in charge.
Just starting with yourself first.
Oh yeah.
Are you no different, wielding magic and stones, leaving your followers to die in their pilgrimage?
Ooh.
I only ask for people to follow their own hearts. What they do is completely up to them. I also don't take from them. I take nothing from myself. I wore the same clothes I came to Drakkenheim with 4 years ago.
Sirens sing songs, but ne'er they push men overboard.
Funny words. Well,
So,
you toil on work that has already been done. Sit and ponder questions that have already been answered. You should be commended for your realization that our future lies within the stones. You see them as arcane objects of futility. It is only your distance from the flame that causes confusion in you.
We all must take a journey to find what our own path may be. The flame has not yet called to me as my work, and all of the individuals I come across. They all beat their own drum. They add notes to the symphony. A grand song will be sung at the end.
so what were you doing before the meteor hit?
Why? I was and continue to be a humble servant of the flame, only walking the path that has been illuminated to me. I've been a flame keeper since the days of my youth. I preached the good word of the sacred flame, held it deeply in my heart, tended to the souls of those in need. The flame warmed my spirit immensely. I believed there was no other path for me to walk. I allowed the flame to work through me as I have always done, and performed what some called miracles for the faithful. Until some 30 years ago, when the flame revealed to me the vision of the starfall, and with it a revelation of a new age to come, an age of recalibration, a reset, an age where heroes would battle against the spreading darkness.
So, do you think we're those heroes?
That remains to be seen. Your present actions inspire some confidence, but also questions.
Well,
I believe for
here's my
good or for
proposal.
ill, you will have a part to play.
Well, my proposal is until you see otherwise, I don't see a reason to not believe in us and aid us until we prove to not be of an ally.
I do not ask anyone to follow me. I only receive those who come. Whether I believe in you or not has no matter.
Can I have a sidebar?
Please.
Okay. Daniel, how close are we to your tower?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. Are we in the Inner Kingdom?
No, this would be the way to get into it.
Let's go over to the map.
Let's look at the map, gentlemen.
Sure. So you guys are at point number 3 on the map here.
Mm-hmm.
And Danielus's tower is point number 12.
That's
So this would certainly represent the closest you have ever been.
Can we get... I kind of want to go through, because first of all, Bulk is very interested in like what's being put down here, so it's hard to like not just like go kung ho for trying to see this flame. Do we have any reason not to try to go through the gates and go for your tower and see this flame?
I'm down.
Farron?
I'm down to try it.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
I wanna
come out of
see
your
where this
sidebar whenever
goes.
you're ready.
All right. Unpause, Danielus. You realize your tower is within proximity of this gate.
That is correct. Lucretia, Mathias, I have lost a valuable item in the tower walls.
Oh? How do you intend
I
to get
did.
it back?
Is there any way we could help get an escort or be passed through?
Danielus, until there's reason to believe otherwise, I certainly believe you will find a way through. But that way is not Champion's Gate. This gate is reserved for the faithful.
Well, I am faithful.
Are you?
How do I prove it?
What are you faithful to? Tell me.
The flame.
Make a deception check.
Nat 20, baby! Plus
Let's
3.
go.
Oh,
Lucretia cracks a smile, and she even lets out a little laugh. Oh, you've given an old woman a laugh, something I haven't had in quite some time.
ooh.
I almost believed you. No, I'm afraid that this is a holy path, a path reserved only for the faithful to complete their pilgrimage, complete their part to play.
What if we provide escort tip with those people? They gotta be saved by those things that like to swoop down and kill your people.
I will provide an escort for this group. I certainly believe you could be helpful, but not at this time.
So do
In
we
fact,
get any
even
reward
to
for...
attempt to pass through would likely result in your death.
Do we get any reward for getting your people this far? I would like to glow.
Danielus, so much talk of rewards and gold and what your plans to do with it are. Have you ever considered that you're not really in this for the greater good of others?
By me having gold allows me to keep helping others, so I see the bigger picture. And don't get
The bigger
bogged
picture.
down.
What of these fair people's souls? What will happen
What do
to
you
them
mean?
when they die?
When
When
they
dawn breaks over
die?
the Shadowlands and their souls are looking for respite, where will they go? Where will you lead them?
I don't give much thought to the afterlife.
Perhaps you should start thinking of it. There is more to what just happens while we stand on 2 feet.
At this point, I would like to step forward and, sister, while I do not see the flame the way you do, I do wish to pursue what I've heard in the sound. May the Brotherhood pass through your gate and seek the knowledge and possibly faith beyond these walls.
Beyond these walls is no place to seek faith. Only the faithful may survive the journey that lies ahead. Do you not have faith?
I have faith
I
in the
thought you believed
sound,
in your teachings.
the meteor, but you stand a gatekeeper more than a guide, and that gives me pause.
Think of me as a life preserver.
It
You
is
would never
hard to
stand.
deny what we have
If
seen.
you think yourself strong enough, all you need to do is step through the gate.
She is as much as a gatekeeper as she is a life preserver. If you don't have the right faith, you might not last on the other side.
So, Farron,
Please,
what should we
step
do?
forward, my brother.
It's a bit of a toss-up. She knows the other side of this gate better than anyone. If she thinks faith will be our only shield, it's possible we won't make it without. We won't make it.
Brother Farron, we all have faith.
Wow, we all have faith in something, but is it what we
Interpretation.
need? It's
Still
interpretation,
faith.
yes.
Do you have faith that you can cross through?
I have faith in the task I was given and the people I was given it with. And you can see Farron shoots a glance over toward Carol.
And Carol kind of like gives you a side elbow and he says, "Come on, go talk to her."
Boy, I've been talking to her and I got shut down early. um,
Lucretia looks over and says, "Now there are two amongst you who may have the faith in the flame to prevail. Karen Farrell."
Aaron.
Oh no, it's been revealed.
Carol,
We look over, he has a
Farron.
bob cut.
I know, right? Please, step forward so I can get a better look at you all.
I'll keep pace with Carol.
Karen.
Karen. She went to
Yeah.
speak to the manager.
She says to you both, Farron, I have to issue an apology to you, much like I did your brother here.
For what?
Well, you see, after the meteor falling, you understand that there has long been discord, both inside and outside of the Church of the Sacred Flame, even before
Right.
I was shunned.
Which Carol must have told you. We don't hold anything against your separate sect. As long as there is no corruption and you mean the people no harm, there's no issue.
Is there one of us who does not have a spot of corruption on their soul?
I feel, as far as the public goes, corruption being completely pure is not really a reasonable thing to ask, which mainly, what are your goals? Do you seek to do harm or to better the masses?
We seek to protect the holy city, to protect the falling fire, just as it led Saint Tarna to rebirth, redemption, a new start, the start of a new age. We believe that this is the start of our new age. And it will begin with great trial. And I am glad to see both of you here, but I cannot help but be sad at the same time. You see, your masters communed with me before they put their plan into action. After the meteor fell, they told me they wanted me to join them, to teach young men in the old tradition of the flame. I told them no matter their reasoning, children are not pawns for the power struggles of the adults. Seems my warnings were not heeded.
I see what you're getting at, but there's no sense to try to rectify the past that we can't control. It was
No,
given up. It should not have been given upon us as children, but there's nothing we can do about that now besides look toward the future and try to make it better.
yes, terrible things were done to you and your brothers in the name of the sacred flame. You should have had full lives filled with family, adventure, love. But this is where you find yourself. And for that, I am sorry. I hoped I would never see one of you. Honestly.
I kind of give her like a solemn nod.
If you all were to want to partake in the sacrament, the pilgrimage of the fallen fire, Lucretia says to you, you may have seen some of what has happened to this land. But to take part of the sacrament when you do not truly believe is only a path towards death. There is much confusion, I sense, in each one of you for different reasons: abandonment, pain, greed, resentment. You must find the flame within each and every one of you and feed it until it begins to hunger for more. Then, and only then, may you partake in the sacrament.
What say you, brothers?
Was Lucretia talking to me solo, or was she talking to all of us?
She was kind of talking to all of you.
Okay.
I
It's kind
don't
of
want
an
to.
open comment.
I don't want to explode.
So you have
I
belief.
I
So
look
the delirium only exists to enrich. Is that right, Daniels?
No. Oh no.
You have to admit, we've seen it from all sorts. People use it for greed, people use it to elevate themselves. Bulk over here found himself on it and changed his whole personality. These people get safe passage through the city. It doesn't seem like we quite know what it can or can't do.
So do we partake?
And how long have you been pursuing wealth with no further steps towards your goal?
What was the purpose of us coming here in the first place?
To get to the gate, to get you close to where you want to be.
And also because we wanted to check out Bulk's weird connection and sounding with people of the Fallen Flame. Similar
and
messages.
it does indeed sound like there are similar messages. Lucretia doesn't mean to, particularly to Bulk. I mean, she doesn't mean to put you down. She kind of seems like it's kind of like helping your kid with math homework. You know, she feels like you haven't fully, you haven't flipped over and gotten to the answers on the back of the page, kind of a deal. But in terms of her goal, Lucretia couldn't be any clearer. It's to protect the holy city, as she calls it, particularly the route from, Champion's Way into the crater and St. Selena's Monastery. She wants to continue spreading and defending her faith to be the predominant religious faction, effectively.
Does Carol glow?
Carol does not glow. But in terms of a reward, well, let's say this now, gentlemen. I certainly, again, appreciate you all coming and protecting members of my flock. In case there is anything else you all require, questions unasked, we must be escorting the pilgrims on their final leg of the journey.
I look over toward Bulk and Carol and see kind of what their body language is saying.
I want to get through that door bad.
Carol's a pretty carefree guy. He looks very relaxed in this moment. Almost kind of looking upon Lucretia with kind of wonderment.
All right. And then I look over toward Daniel as to get the vibe if there's a similar or difference between him and Bulk, which I'm assuming is probably going to be you.
I'm just kind of like, I'm fine getting to my amulet.
Carol says, "Lucretia, please, you're honored." And he bows to the ground and says, "Lucretia, please, my brother, we may not walk the exact same path as you, but we are here for the right reasons. You have to see that. If you trust the way we were trained in the flame. Please, grant upon my brother the same power you granted to me. If anything, it will only help him see the light, the truth, more clearly.
I'm going to kind of walk up to where Carol is bowing down as he's kind of like saying all this to Lucretia. And I'm just going to kind of like get into not as low as a bow, but more of like a kind of like still more upright bow and be like, I may not know your teachings, which may be my main hesitation, but I know my brother, and if he believes what you say to be true and believes in you, that is more than enough to calm my nerves. You say you were meant to come to the convent to teach us to stop children from being burdened with all of this. If he believes you, I have no reason to hold any doubt. And while I may not know much about you, I know him. And if he has faith like this, and I kind of like look over to him as he's like kneeling, I have no reason to hold any reserves right now. And then I'll kind of like kneel as well. I'll kind of like assume a similar position that he is.
Very good. Lucretia looks down at you and says, brothers of the flame, please, I am no higher nor lower than either of you. Please rise. And Carol stands up, and I imagine you do as well. And she says, very well. Farron, step forward. If the flame wishes to turn you into a weapon, then we will complete the process.
And like as I step forward, I'll be like, I was a weapon before. I know I'll be a weapon after.
Good. So you kind of walk forward, and she says, this will not feel pleasant.
Oh,
Prepare.
and like I kind of just like rip off a part of a sleeve and just like get ready to grit.
So you kind of walk forward and you turn back around. So you're facing the group.
Okay.
And Carol just kind of gives you a nod, and he says, brother, remember, we must always stay together. The fist of the flame. He kind of holds up his little fist.
I'll do the same motion as I prepare for whatever's about to happen.
Yeah, and you feel Lucretia's hands kind of like grabbing onto the top of your head.
Okay.
Like that. And she says, all of us have their own connection to the flame. And you can start to feel her hands kind of getting hotter. And she says, flame keepers such as myself pray and watch visions in the flames and the skies. Paladins and warriors have their incendiary charismas and devotion, but monks, and you can start to feel like a warm heat on your head, channel their own life force, their own ki. Emotional disturbances can interrupt the flow of ki, and you feel like a rush of energy fly through your body, and you start to feel like basically as if you were rolling down a hill. And your body is like you're almost like stunned into like bliss. Pleasure is the wrong word. You're kind of your senses are like on overdrive. You can feel every little particle, little atom of ki within your body, like, but you realize it now. You realize the position of every single one, and you are stunned.
Okay.
So, but literally in game. So like you can't move, you can't speak, you can hear, but basically, and your arms start to steam as well. And you start to drop to the ground, and Carol, almost as if he was predicting it, kind of rushes in and catches your body.